Okay, hello. Hello, students. I'm going to teach you about the Pokemon video game series. Before let's start on what is Pokemon. Pokemon is a video game franchise owned by Nintendo, Game Freak, and the Creatures Corporation. It is majority a series of role-playing games released on Nintendo portable and home consoles. It it usually all most of these games are considered the mainline games, and they all follow a similar story structure. You are a you are a young boy or girl, and you decide to leave your house, and you get and go get and are able to capture and train Pokemon, which are which are small monsters you can fit into pocket, thus the name Pocket Monsters, as is known in Japan, or Pokemon. The game mechanics are you grow with these creatures that you tame, and you are able to and you're able to go on an adventure through a local region. The first of these games was Pokemon Red and Green, released in 1996 and 1996 in Japan. The next the next game was the improved version that released only in Japan called Pokemon Blue. The game after that were the American releases of Pokemon Red and Blue as a set of paired games, which mixed some things from Pokemon Red and Green while added the improvements that came in Pokemon Blue. Following that, there was the release of Pokemon Yellow, which was a special version that commemorating the the anime that released alongside it. The, ne- the next batch of games were part of the second generation. Pokemon Gold and Silver, released in 2000, and Pokemon Crystal, released in 2001. These games follow the stories of a whole new set of protagonists as they went through the Johto region. These games took place 3 years after the original games, the original Red, Green, Blue, and Yellow, which that took place in the Kanto region, and these games are sequels in every way. And as opposed to the original games, which released on the original Game Boy, these games released for its sequel with a sequel system, the Game Boy Color. The next generation of video games was the third generation, consisting of Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, released in 2003, Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, released in 2004, Pokemon Emerald, released in 2005, and Pokemon Emerald, which was released in 2005. These games, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, took place in the Hoenn region, which is a brand new region introduced for this generation. And Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green were remakes of the original Red and Green for the original Game Boy. All this generation of games released exclusively on the Game Boy Advance in the early 2000s. For the fourth generation, all these games released on the Nintendo DS. And with Diamond and Pearl and its improved version, Platinum, releasing in 2007 and 2010 respectively. These games took place in the Sinnoh region, while Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver were remakes of Pokemon Gold and Silver, and took place in the Johto region, and these games were released in 2009. The fifth generation of Pokemon took place in the Unova region, with the original Pokemon Black and White releasing in 2011, and their sequel games, Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, releasing in 2012. These sequel games took place 3 years after the plot of the original Black and White, following a new set of protagonists as traveling through the transformed Unova region. The sixth generation of Pokemon took the series into 3D on the Nintendo 3DS. with exploring the Kalos region in Pokemon X and Y, and rediscovering the Hoenn region with lots of changes in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which are remakes of the original Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. In the seventh generation, Pokemon Sun and Moon, released in 2016, Ultra Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, released in 2017. These games all took place in the region of Alola, with the Ultra games taking particularly being alternate versions of the first two games, with an expanded region and more Pokemon available. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee were mixed the mechanics of the core series games with the mechanics of the Pokemon Go mobile game. These were remakes of the original Kanto games, more specifically Pokemon Yellow. The eighth generation included Pokemon Sword and Shield, the Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion pass, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and Pokemon Legends Arceus. Pokemon Sword and Shield were the first games to release on a Nintendo home system, releasing on the Nintendo Switch in 2019. These games were also the first to have an expansion pass which included downloadable content. So instead of releasing an improved third version of the game, they would add those additions into the original games through online updates, with the Sword and Shield expansion pass adding two new explorable areas and over 100 new Pokemon, and over 100 returning Pokemon in the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which were released in 2021, were remakes of the original Pokemon Diamond and Pearl for the Nintendo DS. And Pokemon Legends Arceus were new original open world style games that took place in the ancient Sinnoh region, the same region as Diamond and Pearl, but they took place in the distant past. The next games were Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, released in 2022, with their own set of downloadable content, the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero. These games explored the Paldea region, with the expansion, the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero, exploring the nearby Kitakami and region and the Blueberry Academy, which actually was part of the Unova region. Pokemon Legends ZA is scheduled to release in 2025, and will return back to Kalos, where Pokemon X and Y at first took place.